With Liquor Barn, you can shop your favorite bourbon, that perfect bottle of wine, or discover something new. To place an order for pickup or delivery, download the Liquor Barn app, visit liquorbarn.com, or call your nearest Liquor Barn location. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our email list for all the latest news on products, promotions, and events. Liquor Barn, where Kentuckians go to celebrate life. Cheers!
Bourbon Life listeners, it's time we all get a little toasted. With Penelope Bourbon's Toasted series, of course. This unique blend is a testament to the power of experimentation. After full maturation in a charred new American oak barrel, their bourbon is finished in a secondhand freshly toasted barrel to create a delicious variety of chars and toasts with deep vanilla and caramel notes. No matter your preference, there's a toasted blend for you. Start your one-of-a-kind experience at penelopebourbon.com. There's something different about Lexington, Kentucky. Something you can't quite put your finger on. The source of this magic? Limestone. It gives our native spirit an unmatched purity that will keep you coming back for more. But bourbon this good, from a place this beautiful, is too wonderful to keep hidden away. So come visit and see why Lexington is Bourbon Land. Brought to you by Visit Lex. Plan your Bourbon Land adventure at visitlex.com.
Limestone Farms bourbons are like a secret portal to a world of rich flavors where high proof meets smooth satisfaction. Every barrel is meticulously crafted and blended with a specific message in mind. Experience clean delineated flavor profiles that will have you engaged from the first sip to the final drop, making your palate beg for just one more taste. Limestone Farms, bringing heritage home.
Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here live tonight in the Bourbon Life Studios, otherwise known as my basement, it is my good friend and co-host, Matt. Matt, how you doing down there at the end of the table? We're together in person.
Mark, I'm great down here.
Yeah.
Good to be around the table. Good to be back. It's been...
Took a week off.
We did.
I mean, yeah, people don't know that.
We had a week off. And the show did not have a week off,
That's
but
right.
You and I did. So good to be back, man. You been all right?
Yeah, doing
I
good,
feel like
man.
forever since I've seen you.
Yeah, look at us. We're like the twin. We're twinning,
I know.
man.
We're wearing the exact...
Our gray fleece, and we got our jeans, and nobody can see our gray house slippers that we're
our
both
gray
wearing.
slippers. And, yeah, exactly. One of us is going to have to change.
Yeah, we're twins. I get to be Danny DeVito, and you get to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. How's that? People are like, what are you talking about? It's an old movie.
Yeah.
That tells you how old I am. Anyway, man. So
Anyway.
We are the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by Liquor Barn. We appreciate their support. We appreciate the support of all of our sponsors. We could not bring you all this show every week without the support of our great sponsors. So be sure to check all of them out if you would. And Matt, with that said, you want to tell everybody who we have with us this evening?
Absolutely. Enough about Mark and I, our outfits, because we've got a great guest on tonight. And as I mentioned before we got going here offline, I'm a little embarrassed it's taken us this long to get this guest on the show, especially all of us being Lexington residents here. So let's waste no time and get right down to it. We've got the national brand manager from Lexington Brewing and Distilling Company, Dave Bob. Dave Bob, welcome onto the Bourbon Life Podcast.
Thank you very much. I feel overdressed.
You are, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know I could wear my sweatpants.
Just wear sweats,
shorts.
Yeah, I mean, we're on camera. Nobody cares about what we look like, man. They just want to see our guys. You got the cool hat. I mean, we're just like, man, I let everybody down. Just sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was at work all day, so this is normal work attire.
I was at work all day too. Of course, I work from home, so
there you go.
I'm on vacation this week, but still, I'd still wear this at home when I'm working, right? So it doesn't matter. So, man, we're gonna have a good time, Dave. I see you everywhere, and like Matt said, I feel bad that we have not had you on the show. We've had Mark on the show. Mark Kaufman was on the show a couple of years ago. Actually, it was almost 2 years ago. It was November of 22, so it was almost exactly 2 years ago that Mark was on with us. So yeah, but I see you all these different events and everything. You're always out promoting the brand, doing your thing, and we talk, and it's like, man, we got to make this happen. So I saw you September back at the Bourbon Festival. Got to hang out with you a little bit, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm glad we were able to finally get this to.
It's worth the wait. We have tons to share.
Yeah, man, we do.
You know, same thing with Kaufman. With him retiring last year, what a legend, and you know, the amount of time I was able to work with him side by side. This is the perfect time for me to come on and hang out with you guys and sip on some stuff.
Yeah, speaking of sipping on stuff, man, you brought literally a truckload of stuff. I did. I mean, I wish I could show everybody what we were carrying out of your truck, but there's a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know what to bring, so I brought it all.
Hey, you know what? Right? You'll never hear me complain, but we're going to do something a little different, and we'll talk about the brand itself and the creation of everything probably in the second round. But you guys started as a brewery, so that's significant. So tell everybody what we're going to drink first on this.
So with that, you know, we're going to go do the tasting experience, kind of the way we became a company, and that was a brewery first. And so with that, I brought a very special, very unique barrel-aged raspberry brown ale. Right now, October, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is. And with that, we had to put out something massive to celebrate 25 years. This is Kentucky only. It's available only in draft. So you can find this at bars and restaurants. It is easiest and most enjoyable to find it at our tap room at the Visitor Center on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. But we are about to sip on one of or the oldest barrel-aged ales in America, 5 years old.
Really?
This raspberry brown ale has been resting quietly in our cellar for over 5 years.
In what kind of a barrel?
Our decanted bourbon barrels.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, what's the oldest beer you think you ever had aged?
I mean, I can think of some pretty old beer that wasn't aged that I've had, but
I found the old
Milwaukee.
I found the little 6-pack of Goble beer in the back. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know that I've had that. You know, probably more than a few months. I mean, I don't know what the standard.
I can think of like a 12 or an 18 month that I know of.
18 months, 24 months is. I'm not going to say standard. You know, there's not a ton of breweries that go up that high. There's definitely enough where 2 years, I wouldn't call it standard, but it's being done on the regular by tons of breweries, whether they're, you know, a national brand or smaller. 3 years, sure, it's definitely been done. 5 years, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. So, okay, so it's a brown ale.
So it's a brown ale, and then we added raspberry puree.
Okay.
And blended that together.
And then put that into ex-bourbon barrels. Or
nope. So the post on the raspberry puree came after. So just a brown ale.
That was then cut in with raspberry after the aging maturation.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. We had to boost it up, add some things to it to make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I bet. Would raspberries be stable that long in a barrel, like a raspberry puree?
Good question, Matt.
I know.
You wonder, because it's not, it's going to be.
I mean, could they, you know, with us, when we barrel age, we're barrel aging in a cold cellar.
Yeah.
Imagine a massive, huge walk-in cooler. It's the size of half of a football field. And, you know, degrees-wise, it's 38 degrees or about there.
Okay.
You know, lower than 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's protecting that beer.
The temperature holding
but
zone.
if you brewed it with the raspberry puree beforehand and then barrel aged it, I mean, there could be risk of maybe more tartness or other overripe flavors happening. I'll tell you, you know, this is all behind the scenes, and this is what's great about talking.
It's all off the record. No,
no, it's not off the record, but it's just not a normal conversation when you're talking about barrel-aged beers and bourbons. So 20 barrels total. Of the 20, Micah, our head of quality, she plucked 2 barrels. One of them just had a couple of notes she didn't really particularly enjoy. Another one she said was teetering towards a sour over tartness, almost getting to a sour.
Yeah.
Now we have 18 barrels, and she just didn't want to risk blending the 20 and having something go wrong.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to set these 2 barrels aside. These 18 are perfect. I'm just going to blend these 18.
Yeah, you waited 5 years. What's the no point in
ruining it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
getting
no
2
kidding,
extra
man.
barrels
Yeah,
worth of
yeah.
skunk beer in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or,
and it's not like you're going to be able
skunk
just
off.
to go back and recreate that in a matter of a couple months. I mean, you sit there and wait another 5 years
Yeah.
to do it again. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, and again, it depends on the beer. You know, our pumpkin seasonal that we barrel age, that pumpkin butter is being brewed within the brew and then barrel aged. It's not, there's no post afterwards.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Matt, what do you pick up? We're going to do this like a
this is
like
my
a
first
whiskey
sip
review,
right now.
man.
Yeah.
We've been sipping on this. So what do you get, Matt?
So I guess we're gonna go full on.
Yeah.
Nose here. It's got that raspberry really shines through. It
She's
has
tart.
it has that tartness that really cuts through that rich malty brown ale note.
Yeah.
There is
A lot on the nose.
there's some of that barrel influence is certainly there after 5 years as well.
Yeah.
Being in those ex-bourbon barrels, but I really like that the raspberry really cuts a lot of that brown malt, that brown ale.
Yeah.
It's really nice, a good balance on the nose.
Yeah. But you still get it. I mean, you can still tell that it's not, that it's a brown ale. That's
Yeah.
what I like, is the fact, you get that raspberry sweetness, and that's the first thing that stands out. But then, going back for another, it's like, oh, wait, no, this is a nut brown. You can tell that it is a nut brown ale.
Yeah, you're
So,
you're
brown ale.
getting the sweetness from the barrel. You're getting some raisin notes, malty in the back.
It's good.
Yeah. How funny. It's like, I don't think I've ever done tasting notes on a
beer?
beer
Yeah.
before, man. So,
Oh, this is why it worked out perfect.
yeah, no doubt. And I didn't talk much about the palate, but I guess we can talk about that because we're going to drink something else this round as well. But yeah, the palate, I mean, that all carries through. I think there's more of that barrel influence though on the palate to me.
Yeah.
That stands out more. That raspberry still obviously shines through. It's sweet raspberry. I like it. The little tartness though, not much. It's a really nice combination, man.
Yeah, still get a little bit of vanilla. There's some dryness finish in the back and the back middle of your tongue. It's got a lot of juiciness to it. It's if you're drinking it, if you're blindfolded and given this, it'd be hard to decipher what really is this. There's some kind of juice notes to it.
Yep.
Carbonation there's some good carbonation in it. We don't add a lot of carbonation to it, but just naturally with the barrel and I think those fruit notes, there's some nice bubbles in there.
Most definitely, man. So let's talk about, well, Matt, do you have any other tasting notes on that one?
I think that does about it. It's kind of chocolatey, kind of like chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what?
Yeah,
I was
some chocolate note, like
Yes,
chocolate
like a
cherry.
chocolate
Yeah,
raspberry.
absolutely.
chocolate,
it's like
dark chocolate cherry.
kind of like chocolate covered, like
Yeah,
fruit,
yeah.
like dried
Yeah.
fruit.
Yeah, I was like,
fig. Yep. Yeah, it's worth drinking. I mean, if you've never sipped on a 5-year aged, freshly decanted, filled bourbon barrel brown ale, this is quite the treat.
Yeah, no doubt. So what's the ABV on this one? Do you know?
10.6.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah,
That's nice.
pretty standard.
Nice way to start off. Well,
Yeah.
that guys out there
Pretty
drinking.
middle range for us.
Yeah, you
Good-
like that,
good
man.
warm-up.
Good
Yeah.
warm up. Yeah,
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
on, right? So Dave, let's talk about you. We always like to start out talking about our guests and who they are. So can you kind of share with our listeners a little bit about who you are, like where you're from, your background, education, and how you got into the whiskey industry?
Yeah. So born in Sarasota, Florida. Yep. Wouldn't have guessed that one.
No. Speaking of curveballs that we've been taking on this evening, there's another one.
Yeah. Born in Sarasota, Florida. My family moved to Vermont when I was 4. I seem like more of a Vermonter.
I've always thought I just thought you were a native Kentuckian.
Oh, nice.
No, really, I really did, man. I thought you were from here. I always thought you were from Kentucky.
No, I never told anybody. I would never correct anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, especially when I lived abroad and I was working in the bourbon industry, people would always assume I was from Kentucky, and I never corrected them.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
So you made it to Vermont.
Yeah. So raised in Vermont, loved growing up in Vermont, lived in Barry, Vermont, you know, nice little small town. You know, there's more barrels than people in Kentucky. Well, we got more cows than people in Vermont. So had a great upbringing in Vermont, and started home brewing in high school.
Really?
Did a little bit of home brewing in high school, just a handful of batches, a few batches, but kind of fell in love with that process. Fell in love with the process of I'm 17 and I can pull ingredients, put it through a process, and now I have beer. Why doesn't everybody do this?
Yeah.
Like,
And your parents were like, yeah, that's cool, man.
oh, they had no idea.
I was going to say,
they had
how
no
are you
idea.
pulling this off?
No, they had no idea. I wasn't doing that at my house.
Bootlegging at 17. I
At
love
17,
it, man. That's
right?
great.
To the point where, so I'm living in Barrie. Montpelier's the state capital.
Yeah.
Montpelier is very progressive. There's lots going on, college town. And I made like banana wheat Hefeweizen with a couple of people, and they're all, you know, of age. But this passion put me in front of some people that, you know, didn't necessarily care that I was the Doogie Howser of beer in Vermont. And so we made a really cool beer, and they did like a monthly or, you know, whatever kind of get together at someone's house in Montpelier. And so I go there, and it's, you know, full of a bunch of cool, interesting home brewers and stuff, and we're all talking. And when I'm 17, I must look like I was like 13. Like I didn't look, I didn't look my age whatsoever. And then who do I see? One of my high school teachers.
Oh, no kid.
Yeah.
Oops.
And they're like, "What are you doing here?" And very shocked and not happy. And I'm like,
I brewed your beer.
I brewed beer, man. It's here. Like I'm a home brewer. And he's just like, he's probably, you know, annoyed, worried, but then intrigued.
Yeah.
that I got into this house and actually made a beer. And he's like, okay, let's try it. And then, you know, tried it with the people I made it with. And he's like, wow, this is like really good. And then he's like, do you know this kid? He's like, it's okay, man.
Yeah.
It's fine, man.
Right.
So that was a fun experience. So home brewing, and did a little bit of home brewing in college. But that was it. Nothing too big. I didn't dive into the world of brewing too much.
Did you go to school in Vermont, or did you go somewhere?
Yep.
Okay.
Went to JWU, if all else fails, Johnson and Wales, in Providence, Rhode Island. Cut my teeth in P-Town for a bit.
Nice.
Learned a lot. Mm-hmm. And then left shortly after. And moved back to Vermont, and did some, you know, state college, community college, but ended up getting into education.
Really?
Yep. So was bartending, really loved bartending, and a friend of a friend whose mom was a guidance counselor. They were looking for younger people to help be teacher assistants or work with troubled youth at public school.
Yeah.
So I did that and really enjoyed it. Loved education. Worked at public and private school in Vermont for probably 3 years and learned a lot, like, you know, studied education and paraeducation and teaching with the brain in mind and, different therapy, and worked with high risk students and stuff like that. But also bartended any chance I had. And again, I'm 20. I'm not 21 yet.
Yeah.
But it's Vermont. Everybody's cool.
Yeah.
No one's checking IDs in Vermont.
Especially with the bartenders. I mean, nobody's going to bartend or ID the bartender, right?
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy's good.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick second and jump over to the whiskey.
Yeah.
And then we can pick up from there. So we've got something poured up for this round as well that you brought. If you want to tell us about that.
Yeah. So this is our Town Branch Overproof at 104 with a 4-barrel blend. This is a love letter from Mark Lyons to bartenders and bartenders at home. This was an idea he had for a couple years and really planted the seeds over a year ago. And, we always want to continue the legacy of Dr. Pierce Lyons,
Sure.
our founder, who started everything and passed away in 2018 and left us with big shoes to fill, but a lot of creativity and think big and go big. Mm-hmm. And same thing with Mark leading us in that direction. So this is kind of Mark's stamp with his legacy. Brand new bottle, where we went away from our iconic rectangle bottle.
I noticed that today. It's like,
yep. So brand new bottle, really creative blend of bourbon and whiskey. That was kind of inspired by a few things by Mark. One, TrueCast inspired us making more overproof cocktails. Because when we say overproof, we're not talking about the proof of this whiskey. We're talking about the cocktails that it'll be made with. These are overproof cocktails.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's not necessarily 104. It's not necessarily, we're not talking about overproof bourbon.
Yeah,
we're talking about overproof cocktails that this will create. So that's kind of the back. Now you're getting more of the backstory of what do we think overproof means.
Yeah.
Really, it's us making a creative bourbon whiskey blended to help bartenders and us at home make overproof cocktails that we love. Because we want it to be spirit forward. I don't want to make an old fashioned and taste, syrup.
Yeah.
And cherries.
Sure.
I want to make it with my favorite bourbon and rye.
Yeah.
And that's why I tend to make a rye old fashioned. Or I'll do 3/4 bourbon, 1/4 rye to pick up that spice.
That makes sense. Matt, what do you pick up on the nose on this one, man?
Well, you said this is 3-barrel blend, but so
4-barrel blend.
4-barrel blend. Thank you. Yeah. What were because it's a blend of different mash bills, right? Is that
No. TrueCast is a blend of 2 mash bills. The overproof, these do. Then you are correct. They do combine 2 mash bills, our original and our current, because we have 2016 barrels in here. So imagine this is 33 barrels. Mm-hmm. So I took 33 barrels. 30 barrels are Town Branch Bourbon, ranging from 2016, 17, and a little dash of 18. 1 barrel of rye, over 8 years old. 1 barrel of bourbon finished in our rye barrels for 2 years. And then 1 barrel of our wheated bourbon, over 6.5 years old, that no one knew we had it. We have wheated bourbon.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got quite a bit.
And this is
And we just used 1 barrel.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So
But this is your blend.
This is my blend.
This is yours,
so
right?
Mark,
yes.
Mark gave me, Mark and our team, our amazing team, which includes Rob Crass, our director, head of sales, Stephen Hughes, our head distiller and blender, Chris, who's our head of production and also distiller and blender. So they allowed me the honor to orchestrate and lead this blend start to finish. For me, this is you know, a year to months of work. You know, when it came down to really doing the sensory, picking out the barrels, doing the micro blends, etc., proofing down multiple batches, to picking the full barrels to dumping, probably like a few months. Yeah, and then the blending period. This blend took us just over a month to hit it. Yeah. And it was up and down there for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, we need to add another barrel.
Yes.
And then I'm like, I'm going to Ireland, don't touch it. And I came back and it was perfect.
Nice.
So you got to let it rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one needed a lot of rest. Yeah.
I think it's so I had this at KBF, the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, with you, Dave. We chatted about it, and I thought this was one of the best things I drank all day at the festival.
Oh man, that's high praise. I love that.
No, I really
big
do.
Deal.
It's what I love about it is the nose on it is it's like loose. It's not super tight. It goes in a lot of different directions. So there's kind of like the high, like good amount of corn, like this high corn note, then like super creamy pot distilled notes come across on it. Then that wheat really shines through as well. It just like the nose on it just like runs all over like the bell curve from side to side on everything you're picking up. Even just those 3 extra barrels that weren't the standard bourbon mash bill, I think really make themselves known in here. There's that creamy note, that wheat kind of bread biscuity flavor as well. That rye kind of brings some punch to it as well. Corn from the bourbon is certainly there as well, and I really love again that it's not like tight, leading you down really set flavors and like set notes in the nose. It wanders a lot, and there's great stuff to be thought of the entire time you're nosing through it. I think it's excellent.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
I love hearing it.
I can't add a whole lot to how can you add much more to what Matt says? But I had it at KBF with you as well, and was very impressed with it, no question about it. I think we have a little video of that somewhere too, as a matter of fact. We shot some video of that. But you know, the thing that stands out to me, I know it's called overproof, and it's not a reference to the proof point, but still at 104 proof, you think it's gonna have maybe a little bit of a heat on the nose, like you're going to pick that up, right? But you don't, I don't think, on this at all. I don't think it noses like 104 proof at all. I think it noses a lot lower proof. But like Matt said, you get these subtle nuances of all these different flavors that come through. And you know, you nose it, and then you go back 5 seconds later, and there's something different that jumps out at you. So it's kind of, Matt was doing like little graph over there. It's like a roller coaster ride to me is what I kind of think. I mean, because you're hitting all these highs and lows, not lows, but you're hitting all these different points. And it's like going on a ride because there's so many different flavors coming at you from different areas, man, which is really cool.
And the process of doing this was, Mark had the idea where he was inspired by Ireland, our sister distillery in Dublin, Ireland, Pierce Lyons distillery at St. James Church. We do a 4 blended Irish whiskey. So it's a blend of our blended Irish grains, aged in Town Branch Bourbon, ex-bourbon, sherry, port, and butt. So that there was some inspiration there.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what can we do for a blend? I'm like, okay, we have this. With that inspiration from what we do in Ireland, I'm like, we can do it, but I need a year.
Yeah.
Because the wheat is not ready and the bourbon and rye is not ready. So we've been thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing to go through that process with those 33 barrels. Because you have a basic idea of it when you're doing your micro batches and you're doing your sensory. And again, those barrels are going to be different too.
Sure.
Once you get them, right. I mean, they're not going to be the same barrels every time out of the rick house. So it was a bit of, you know, you have a bit of research and doing it in micro batches and your sensory. Then you got a bit of luck, and honestly a lot of rest and agitation and rolling it over. And you know, I mean, if we're going through our process, it's dumping the barrels, getting that into our stabilizing tank. We're cascading it for an entire day, like 8 to 10 hours, one shift. So we have like a sprinkler system inside the tank.
Yeah.
And the tank is pumping it up, cascading sprinkler, collecting it, and then pumping it. So it's doing this pumping up and down and sprinkler system, cascading down. We're opening it up, we're agitating it, we're trying to aerate it out to get more positive flavors quickly. Let it rest. Next day, we'll either let it rest or we're gonna we'll let it rest for as long as we can. It could be a few days or a week, and then we're gonna hit our 90% proof down. So we'll roll it to the proofing tank, put in 90% of the water to hit that proof. This was 104, so we'll proof it down to 105. And then again, we'll let it rest. We'll roll it, agitate it, move it around, let it rest, do that for like 2 weeks. And then when we think we're ready, let's add that last 10% of water. We're talking about gallons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, we're talking like, maybe it's like 10 gallons of water. No matter what, it's not going to change much. You're just hitting that last mark. And then again, let it rest and see what it turns into. Because this one, every week, the third week, I was like, it's not ready. Not that it should be ready at 3 weeks necessarily, but that's kind of in the time frame where I thought it would be. And then we let it rest for like 8 or 9 more days when I got back, and it was amazing. Everybody was like,
nice.
Steve,
Ready.
Chris, we're like, it's done. Don't touch it. Like, this is all it needed was another week and a half.
Yeah.
Just to like settle and just become whatever it's going to become.
I think it's crazy. I just think the way it is, the way the blending works.
That's the luck part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But now we know. So now it's telling, production like, hey, we're going to need a month on this.
Yeah.
So we should start making this pretty soon.
Yeah, right.
No
So
doubt.
batch 2 should be blending when batch 1 is bottling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
And we
sense.
can time it right because, single barrels will always be at that smaller tank. If we have to do, a batch of bourbon at 90 proof, we can just move it around.
Yeah.
We have enough tanks to move around stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're at the end of round 1. So tell you what, we'll come back in round 2 and talk about the palate and the finish on this one. And we'll also finish your background story as well. And we'll go back into that, and then we'll jump in and talk about the distillery. So we'll do that in round 2, and we'll also move into our second whiskey in that round as well. So everybody just sit tight, and we'll be back with more with Dave Bob from Lexington Brewery and Distilling Company. Sorry, I had to think of the whole
It's
name.
a tongue twister.
Yeah.
We'll be back with Dave Bob in just a minute.
Three Chord's line of whiskeys embody the spirit of creativity. The whiskey is a true collaboration between producer and composer Neil Giraldo and master blender distiller Ari Sussman. The Three Chord team of expert blenders, coopers, and sensory professionals have developed a multi-step process they called Perfectly Tuned Taste. This process begins by carefully selecting the finest bourbon and rye whiskeys from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, and then blending them together. Find out more about the whiskeys and distribution in your area at www.threechordbourbon.com.
Welcome to Old Dominick Distillery, a family-owned craft distillery nestled in the heart of downtown Memphis. Founded by descendants of Domenico Canali, a pioneering Sicilian immigrant who made Memphis his home in the late 1800s, Old Dominick is steeped in history and tradition. Old Dominick prides itself on offering a diverse selection of whiskeys to satisfy every taste. Whether you're a seasoned connoisseur or a curious newcomer, you'll find something to love, including an 85 proof Tennessee whiskey, bonded Tennessee whiskey, a single barrel Tennessee whiskey, a 90.1 proof bourbon, and coming this fall, a cask strength bourbon. Each bottle of Old Dominick whiskey is crafted with care, featuring unique mash bills that offer a variety of high and low proofs. This dedication to quality ensures there's a perfect pour for every whiskey enthusiast. Old Dominick whiskeys are proudly distributed in several states, including Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Georgia, Arkansas, Illinois, and Mississippi. Can't find us locally? No problem. You can conveniently purchase our products online and have them delivered straight to your doorstep. Ready to explore the world of Old Dominick? Visit our website at olddominick.com to learn more about our history, discover our products, and find a retailer near you.
All right, everybody, welcome back for round 2 of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here tonight live in the Bourbon Life Studios, otherwise known as my basement, it is my good friend and co-host, Matt. Matt, how you doing down there at the end of the table?
Mark, I'm good. And yourself, you doing well?
I'm doing great, man. Got the smart glasses on again. You know, I know how much you love those. See, I have to remember to keep my head like still because the lens is over here, and I noticed when I was recording with Barry that I kept moving my head around the light and the camera just goes everywhere. So I'm going to try to be still and make this credible video. So
I'm going to move around a bunch.
You move around and make everybody seasick. That'd be great. See, I'm nodding my head, shaking, and now the camera's bouncing.
You're not allowed to move.
Yeah, I gotta stay like this. But we are the Bourbon Life Podcast, presented by Liquor Barn. We appreciate their support, the support of all of our sponsors. We could not bring you guys this show every week without all of their support. With that said, Matt, would you like to tell everybody who we have with us?
Absolutely. Let's get down to it. We got a lot to do in this round.
We do.
So we have got National Brand Manager of Lexington Brewery and Distilling Company, Dave Bob. Dave Bob, welcome on back for round 2.
Howdy, howdy. Round 2, let's do it.
Round 2, man.
Yeah.
You made it through round 1. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. We appreciate you not leaving either, man. Of course, I got the gate over there for the basement. We could have just locked it, and you would have been stuck.
I'm sleeping here. I got an early flight in the morning.
Oh, yeah. No problem, man. We've got a couch, got a sofa, got a love seat, man. Got that chair over there, actually, it's a recliner. So we got you covered, dude.
All right.
You're all good. Well, let's jump back, Matt, and talk about the palate and the finish on this Overproof.
Yeah.
The Town Branch Overproof that we were
Dave, why don't you hold the bottle up to the camera? Because you talked about
a camera right in front of you there. Just hold that bottle up. Yeah,
so
the
here,
difference
we'll compare,
multiple.
Yeah.
So we have the Overproof right here, and then we'll compare that to what people normally see us with that iconic rectangle square bottle over here.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because I was on your website today and I noticed that, and I don't think I realized that at the Bourbon Festival, even though you had those bottles there. It didn't click for some reason, the difference.
Yeah.
But then when I was on the website today, I was like, oh, difference in bottles. So, I mean, we can talk about that if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a bartender,
easier to grab.
it's a lot easier to handle and move and grab. Sure. It goes into the well a little bit easier compared to this very beautiful, gorgeous bottle over here.
Yeah. So I love those standard bottles. But yeah, you said Mark kind of created that. You guys created that kind of like a love letter.
Yeah.
Is what you said to bartenders.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So not only is it something they can utilize in terms of making excellent cocktails, but it's also the ease of use.
Bartender friendly. And trust me, we've been hearing this for years.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Because those bottles, your bottles are, I wouldn't say they're, especially if they got tiny hands. I mean, that's a big, thick bottle, and they're beautiful bottles. But as a bartender,
they're robust too. They're quite heavy. The punt on the bottom is quite heavy, reinforced glass. It's a big, a robust, hefty bottle.
Yeah.
So
robust. I
reuse
like
those bottles too. Make a lamp or a light or a water decanter. Yeah. Reuse them. We do. We save them and we donate them to craft people all the time.
Very nice.
Yeah.
My daughter told me years ago that she went to a wedding and they used whoever, the catering company, had all these old whiskey bottles, not old, but whiskey bottles, with labels off. Like, I guess Carson's does that.
Yeah.
Several restaurants that do that, right? Yeah. So she's like, oh, I think it'd be great when I get married to be able to do that. So this was like 3 years ago. So I've been, like, every time I empty a bottle, I probably have like 60 or 70 bottles in the back room that are just no labels, no nothing, because I just did one this morning, another bottle that I finished off. So I've got this collection of random assortment of bottles, but yeah, these are super nice, man. Have to add those to that collection. All right, Matt.
Yep. All right.
We got off topic there. I'm so sorry.
Overproof. Let's get back to it.
Let's go back, man. My bad.
Yeah. Again, the nose on it, I really, really enjoyed. The palate on this, I think, is just as good as the nose, maybe even better. It's got those, like, that beautiful kind of fluidity of a pot distilled, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where it's not super tight. Again, like some of the flavors kind of wander. There's a good amount of corn and spice right up front. I pick up a lot of cinnamon. There's like a good amount of heat. Then it leads into, I get like a really kind of like peachy, fruity like note to it. As that I think that malt and some of that wheat opens up into it. Gets a little fruitier as well. rye comes through with this like really creaminess. It just like coats all over the mouth. Super long finish, great flavor that again like isn't too one directional. A lot of bourbons, and we all love them for that reason, like really hit on those classic notes, your cherries, vanillas, oak, caramel, and we love them for that. But a product like this is just so great because it takes so many different directions on that. It's got that great corn flavor with great bourbon flavors. There's barrel influence as well, but then there's that brightness, kind of that tartness from like this peach or like a sweet tea kind of note. And it's a completely different experience. And that was one of the reasons at KBF, the Bourbon Festival, where I'm tasting so many different things. And this was one of the reasons I love it so much is it's so unique. It stands apart from everything else. Yeah.
And I think when you look at us as bourbon makers and Pierce as an Irishman who was, a master distiller, PhD in yeast fermentation, but him cutting his teeth and learning as a distiller in Ireland and making Irish whiskey for most of his life. He never made bourbon. But it's kind of tipped the hat to him and his mash bill with this being 15% malt.
Yeah.
So we're slightly higher malt.
And that comes
than
through,
our
like
neighbors.
Matt said. I mean,
and that makes the bourbon really interesting, whether it's the 90 proof or a single barrel or these blends, those malt flavors really do come through in a really interesting way, especially when we're blending.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and it's funny because Matt, you mentioned peach, and I was not able to pick. I was like tasting this note, and I'm like,
"What is it?
Man, what is that?" And as soon as you said peach, I was like,
"Yeah,
oh crap!" I mean, it's peach. I mean,
you get like a juicy peach to simple syrup.
Yeah, but you still get that spiciness too, like you said. That's really nice too. It's like, and the finish on this one just continues.
The nose is really nice too.
It just continues to give and give. It's like you take a sip and like 30 seconds later, I still feel all these, feelings. The tongue is tingling still, and you get that nice finish on it. Spicy, sweet, like you said, from the corn. That peach though that came through, the maltiness. I think that's kind of throwing me a little bit, because I taste it and I'm not yeast. I think when you drink a bourbon, I don't think of the malty flavors coming through that much, right?
Ours do a lot.
Yeah, a lot of times.
And it's hard to describe what am I tasting?
Right, yeah.
It's like you're tasting that malty goodness.
Yeah, a lot of times that malt is what just in there to aid in fermentation, right?
Right.
And so that's why there's such low malt content. It's not so much a driving, flavoring grain. It's nice to see it used sometimes, especially like off a pot still. It really lets some of that funky, wild flavor come through.
Yeah, and that's right. It is a pot. We'll talk about that too. That you guys do pot distill, right? So that's cool because you get a lot of those unique flavors that we kind of talking about.
And you do get it off the nose too.
Yeah. So Daybell, let's go back. We're talking about you're in Vermont, you're doing education stuff. Let's kind of pick up there and continue telling your story, and then how you got where you are now.
Yep. So, working public, private schools, really enjoyed that. The responsibility, the learning of it. Was not a great student in high school.
Because you were brewing so much beer, man.
Yeah, man. But loved working in that environment and learning and kind of getting that reaction from teachers and adults and principals, like, oh, I'm young, but I'm doing something useful and kind of and having that reaction. I think that drove a lot. But also bartending and really loving bartending, and that seed was planted when I was delivering newspapers as a youngster in elementary school.
Really?
And one of my routes that I took from my sister, I think my sister or a friend, was downtown Barrie. And during the weekday after school, I would deliver part of downtown Barrie, which included the Elks Club. Does Lexington have an Elks Club?
I think there's an Elks here in town. I think
okay. So it was awesome. I'm in 5th grade. Okay, I'm delivering newspapers, make my own money.
Yeah.
And then I go to the Elks Club. all blacked out windows and doors. They had to buzz you in like a bang, huge buzzer, get buzzed in. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon, and there's always like the same 4 guys, and then like the coolest like bartender there. And I'd go in, they'd say funny, dirty jokes, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And the bartender was super cool, this older guy. And every day he'd give me a Shirley Temple with 2 or 3 cherries.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm doing
Nice.
the rest of my route with what I think, like, I'm like, it's basically a cocktail, probably.
Yeah.
You know, and sipping on that, delivering my papers. And I was like, man, being a bartender is awesome. You just hang out and talk and make drinks.
And make
you get
money.
paid money.
Yeah.
Like, I should aspire to be that.
That's awesome.
But it really did ingrain in my brain, like, man, I really want to bartend. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and then I moved to China.
From Vermont, you just like
Yeah.
said, hey,
yeah.
I'm just going to go to China.
Yeah. I kind of, you know, I hit the ceiling of education and going back to school and didn't want to do that and didn't really know what I wanted. And I looked at, you know, moving abroad, and I looked at, you know, Australia and New Zealand, working on a farm. And I'm like, I'm in Vermont, I can do that here. And then I looked at South Korea and Japan, teaching English. And then a friend of mine was like, if you're going to move abroad, you should go to China. It's like, it's crazy. Like, it's, there's still tons going on. It's so different. The country's so big, it has all the regions and provinces are so different and wild. You should go to China. It's super easy.
Wow.
So I moved to China when I just turned 22.
No kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much supported by my parents. I think they were ready for me to get out of Vermont.
Yeah.
Or get out of, my parents, they were traveling. My dad was a traveling radiologist.
Oh, yeah.
But I lived at the house alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You could brew beer.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I threw a lot of parties. But I think they're very supportive, just to get me to do like a restart.
Yeah.
You know, they felt I kind of needed something different.
Yeah.
To go to the next thing, whatever that would be. It couldn't happen in a small town. It couldn't happen for me in Barrie. I needed to do something else to get to somewhere else.
So how long were you over in China?
So moved to, it was Shandong Province, Jiangdian Zibo. And it was going to be like a year or so. And I worked at a elementary school for a year. And then I worked at a university for a year and a half, but fell in love with this small town. It took a while though. It took took about 3 weeks. I don't think I saw a foreigner for 3 weeks, and I was doing the same thing every day. And it did get to the point where I remember writing my dad an email, hey, if I don't meet somebody, I'm going to move to Shanghai. Because I didn't see any foreigners. Like, there's got to be, you know, every day I would get lost, and it was amazing, and I'd hop off of buses and stuff, and it was, you know, like Discovery Channel. It was incredible. But then 3 weeks kind of wore off. Mm-hmm. And I started going to a bar where I was told foreigners went to. So I went there the first Friday, or whatever, you know, I've been there for almost a month. Went there on a Friday, 8 p.m., walk in. I'm the only one in there, 2 bartenders, Christmas music playing, and it's August, and this weird European game show. Stayed for 2 warm beers that are served in like 750 ml bottles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they serve them in crates.
Okay.
We were drinking, you know, it was Qingdao, if you've ever seen Qingdao beer, but like huge bombers. And it's like 3.3 ABV, and they're warm, and they're just stomach busters.
Yeah.
Left, nobody came, said, okay, I'll go the next Friday, and I'll go an hour later. Come in, Groundhog Day, same Christmas music, same stupid TV show, same two people working that, didn't want to talk they couldn't speak English, and I knew like maybe 10 words in Chinese. My fault. Learn the language.
Yeah, right.
I'm not blaming them. This is on me.
Yeah.
And then same thing, couple of beers, nobody showing up, and I'm about to leave. And then two people walk in, two beautiful girls. And this is like a month now. I haven't seen a foreigner. These are like my first foreigners I've seen. It's two girls coming in, foreigners. And I must have looked like such a nerd. Like, I must have looked like a 5-year-old seeing a bicycle under the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That must have been my facial reaction.
Face aglow.
They walk right by me. They don't even look at me. Walk right past me, sit at the booth behind me, start speaking a language I haven't heard before, and I've only heard like 3 languages. And then literally 2 minutes later, like 25 foreigners flood in. One of them goes right to me, makes eye contact, walks right up to me. He's like, "Yo, what's up, man? I'm Ike. How you doing?" And it was like, finally,
Nice,
yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not that you should move to a foreign country and like seek out foreigners, but you need a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You need a bit of the local, a bit of the expat. And that's what I was finally able to get. And one of those girls that sat behind me, she's my wife, and we have 2 kids.
Oh, hey, man.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah.
That's very funny. That's very cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how'd you get from China? Well, let's talk about the whiskey. So what are we drinking this round?
So now we just bottled this today. We started bottling it earlier in the week. We just finished bottling 216 cases.
Wow.
So pretty small batch.
Yeah.
That's 6 barrels, proof down to 96 proof. This is what we are calling our Town Branch Imperium. And it's essentially picking the best of the best, the finest barrels we had of 2024.
Okay.
And of those 6 barrels, it's 3 of my favorite wheated bourbon barrels and 3 of my favorite bourbon barrels. One-time release, limited release. It came out amazing when I tasted it today. And this is at its most mature level I tasted it at, because I do travel a lot. I tasted it last week, and we knew it was ready, and we were going to give it another 4 days of rest. And then it opened up even better.
Yeah.
With those 4 days before we bottled it. So 50% wheated, 50% bourbon, 96 proof. And this is something that we'll continue to do for next year too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So we already poured it.
Yeah. Matt, what do you pick up on the nose on this one, man?
It's got a big nose for sure on it. It's another like really flavorful, a lot packed into there, especially 94 proof, like 96 proof.
96,
Thank you. Yep. Brings a lot to it. There's that good bourbon note that I picked up again on the the Overproof right away. Kind of those like really nice, like that sweet corn kind of barrel notes right up front. Then the wheat really shines through. There's like almost an orange marmalade, kind of some fruity like toasted biscuit notes come across in it as well. A little bit of, again, that malt kind of shines through, sort of that like roasted, rounded out flavor as well on there.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't recording on the glasses.
No.
Yeah.
He didn't have his glasses on.
Now I'm listening to music. Wow, what happened there? Anyway, yeah.
Really, really nice nose. Again, like just big and left without like huge guardrails. So it's really got a lot going on. It's not taking you in one direction. I like it.
Is juicy a descriptor I can use?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's like juicy. It's like there's a fruitiness to it. You were talking about orange marmalade, but it's like I don't know that it's orange marmalade to me, but man, it's just like a juicy fruitiness. But then those bourbon notes, like you said, Matt, come through as well.
Yeah, and you get some sharp spiciness.
Yeah.
From it too.
What are you're gonna say something there, Matt? You like?
Oh no, I've moved on. I'm on palate. So
Okay.
go ahead, finish off with the nose.
No, I was gonna say
Continue.
there's not much else I can add to that. Dave Bob, I don't know if you have anything else on the palate or the nose you wanted to share.
Not at the moment. My nose, it's not great today. It's a little stuffy.
A little stuffy, yeah. Sorry about that, man.
Autumn
It's the
is
weather,
here.
right?
It feels like winter in the morning.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? We went from summertime to December. It feels like with our weather. So back to your story. So you're in China. So how did you end up from China back here? How did you make it to Lexington with the Lexington Brewery?
I like to give credit to the state of Kentucky and Dr. Pierce Lyons and Mark Lyons and the Lyons family for supporting my journeys to Kentucky. So yeah, moved to China. You can be anything that you want to be. It was like the American dream, but in China.
Yeah.
Because this is early on. This is before the Olympics.
Yeah.
Foreigners were very much put on a pedestal, especially in a small town. Walking around, it's like, oh, wow. I mean, of a city of Zhongdian, big college town, had the biggest university in the province. And, well over 1 million people, which is small. I mean, a city of 2 million people is like a cow town to China. Mm-hmm. Especially nowadays, even back then. So the first thing I went searching for is bartending, and I bartended at that place where I first went. It was called 48 Bar, and again met my wife there, Olia, and it was funny when I met her. We're all hanging out together in a big group. And then she came back the next week, but had a new hairstyle, so I didn't recognize her for a few minutes. And we, lots of compliments, and no offense to some Russian guys, you don't really need a lot of game. You just have to be like a nice person.
Yeah.
And genuine. And I grew up with 2 older sisters, so
Yeah. So
I'm not hitting on girls. I'm just like hanging out.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. So yeah, ended up working at 2 bars, if not 3 later on. And it came up, one, because the bar staff and the owner just found it really difficult to communicate and serve the expat community. Because there'd be 40, 50 plus people, foreigners in some of these bars, and it's just not anybody getting out of hand, but it's just easier to have a foreigner bartend and kind of make the drinks that they want. It's easier on them, they make more money, and we have fun doing it on both sides. So I started working at 2 bars, and yeah, that was awesome. And then moved to Beijing.
Okay.
Then Beijing, this is where everything really started. Now we're starting to connect, to Kentucky. So I ran what became one of the best voted bars in Beijing, small creative neighborhood bar. I started selling Pierce Lyons Reserve, which was a single malt whiskey.
Uh-huh. That was the first whiskey you guys put out, right?
Yep.
Was a single malt, right?
Yeah, it was that single malt.
That's what I thought.
And the Kentucky Ale and the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. I had the BBA my first time in 2012 or so, 2011, and it just blew me away. I had barrel-aged beer before.
Yeah.
But it was, European or stout. I never had an ale aged in freshly emptied bourbon.
It's
and
delicious,
just
no doubt
blew
about
me
it.
away how good it was. Mm-hmm. And I just was a total fan from the start. And their team in Asia was amazing because it was all direct. You know, the GM to the sales reps, you know, some were Chinese, some were Irish, the GM was half Chinese, half Kentuckian. Perfect.
Yeah, no doubt.
And just what an incredible direct team they had in China and for Asia. Because you're talking to the people at the distillery. You're not necessarily talking to the distributor, which, you know, that's nice too.
Yeah.
Sold the most draft beer of BBA in Asia. Our barbecue joint that's still there in Beijing is called Home Plate Barbecue. Still friends with the owners. They're actually opening up a spot in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was down there a couple months ago hanging out with them.
Yeah.
So we still see each other every year.
Nice. Very nice.
So great bourbon collection there. Legit low and slow American barbecue. I used to smoke bourbon and maple syrup in the smokers.
Yeah.
And make cocktails with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were, Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale and the Town Branch Bourbon and Whiskey was the perfect fit, and spent a lot of time with those guys, including Mark. Mark and his wife Holly lived there. They lived in Beijing, and they ran the China division of the yeast company.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think I knew that.
Yep.
Do you remember that? I don't either.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
About yeast or about?
No, wait, Mark Lyons.
Mark Lyons, not Kaufman.
Not Kaufman. Okay.
No,
right.
no.
That's why I was like,
Kaufman's
okay.
he went to China before, but Mark Lyons.
I gotcha. Okay.
Running.
Now I'm with you.
Running the China division for Alltech, the yeast company. But Mark spent a ton of time abroad. Mark was 37 years with the company, and he was one of the first few dozen employees of Alltech.
Yeah.
Mark Kaufman can't be here. He's a legend.
Yeah.
Him and I are trying to find time this winter for him and I sit down to start doing a recorded chat with each other so we can talk about his point of view, start to finish of the brewery.
Oh, yeah.
And distillery.
No, I think it's a great idea, man. That'd be awesome. So they sweet talked you into leaving and coming over here then? Is that kind of how it worked?
Yep. So I did a ton of stuff in Beijing for food and beverage. 1 year I won. It was the Bar and Club Personality of the Year. And the same year I won Bar and Restaurant Manager of the Year.
Wow.
So I think I was the first person to win both awards, but on bar and restaurant side.
Nice.
And so kind of a F&B celebrity around that region of China. Olia wanted to start a family, but did not want to do it in Beijing.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that. I could have done more in other projects, but I was okay. So I said I'm leaving China.
Yeah.
And, this is in magazines and stuff like that. And Mark Lyons gets wind of it. And he's like, did you hear Dave Bob's leaving China? He's like, we should go talk to him. So I had a bunch of job offers, mainly hotels around the world and stuff. And then Mark asked me to come in and said, hey, what would you think about sales and marketing for the brewery distillery, but based in Taipei? And I said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Taipei's beautiful. I get to stay in Asia. I get to come to the other side of the industry, which I really wanted to do.
Right.
It felt more of a career move than, it's a tough life working for hotels and bars.
Sure.
They really use every ounce of you. Not that this industry doesn't, but this is more enjoyable. Oli agreed to it, not knowing how many earthquakes Taiwan has, because I didn't tell her until she came. We had an incredible time in Taipei, building the brand in Taiwan, in Asia, in China, and had our first kid there.
Ah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
So how'd you end up back? Well, you know what? Let's jump over to the whiskey, Matt. Let's talk about that real quick. Talk about the palate and the finish on this. This is the Imperium. So what do you pick up?
Good and spicy right on the front of the palate. Nice and oily, really coats the tongue well. And then that spice, those baking spices come in. There's that cinnamon, like a little bit of clove, nutmeg, kind of like nice, bold baking spices in there as well. Then leads into sort of those fruity, juicy notes that you were talking about, Mark, on the palate. Again, for me, like getting orange zest, a little bit of like nectarine or like tangerine kind of flavors as well. There's like a touch of stone fruit, not quite like as dark as a fig or a plum, but something in there as well. Maybe a little like orchard fruit flavor. And then that heat really comes back around for the finish. Nice and long, good finish. That wheat really makes itself shown. There's kind of that like toasted bread, bakery aromas and flavors coming through on there as well. Just really nice. It drinks a lot warmer than the proof. I think it really packs some punch.
Yeah. And that was funny about this small blend and release, you know, because TrueCast has been amazing for us, amazing to blend and challenge us on every batch, and to have our fans and new people who are trying out Town Branch to have a series that's at cast strength at an incredible price. You know, when you're looking at, you know, Town Branch Bourbon at 90 proof or $40 or below, Town Branch TrueCast series at that cast strength. This one's at 116.4. That's going to run you just over like 45 or so. So really, we to the consumers, we want you to drink the art, you know, and we want to set a price that's fair for everybody down the line, including people who are going out to a bar or restaurant or going to a retailer. You know, don't save it, drink it, mix it, share it, get another bottle. And then, so it was funny steering away from the higher proof and going back down to a bourbon that was more gentle and smooth compared to the other ones, which I love doing. I loved having that challenge of getting something at that 96 proof below 100 and that dilution going back to a much lighter body that's more comparable to our 90 proof bourbon, but still really complex and unique.
Yeah, a lot of flavor in it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's really just packed full of flavor at the proof.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, we are actually at the end of round 2, believe it or not. So let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. We'll come back with more with Dave Bob with Lexington Brewery and Distilling Company in just a minute.
Visit the historic James E. Pepper Distillery, located in the vibrant Distillery District in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Initially built in 1880 by Colonel James E. Pepper, one of the founding fathers of the bourbon industry, it operated until 1967 when it was shut down and abandoned for over 50 years. After a decade of historical research, the brand was relaunched and the distillery was rebuilt. Distilling resumed on-site in 2017, using the same historic bourbon recipe as when it closed in 1967. The distillery offers a selection of fine whiskeys for tasting and retail purchases, including the award-winning Decanter Bourbon. Intimate guided tours include time in the museum, an up-close look at the grain-to-glass process, and a complimentary tasting. Stop by for an old-fashioned cocktail and see why TripAdvisor ranks the Pepper Distillery as the 3rd best distillery in Kentucky and the #1 attraction in Lexington. Learn more at jamesepepper.com.
Hey there, I'm Carrie Van Winkle, founder of Pappy & Company, where we celebrate family heritage and Southern craftsmanship. Check out our curated collection of artisanal goods that embody the spirit of Kentucky. From our signature barrel-aged pepper sauce aged in Pappy Van Winkle bourbon barrels to our luxurious leather goods inspired by generations of tradition, each item reflects our commitment to quality and legacy. Our line of gourmet food items are thoughtfully selected to bring the taste of the South to your table. Indulge in what I can say is the best bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup on the planet. A perfect blend of buttery rich flavors that elevate any dish or cocktail. We're big fans of the Bourbon Life Podcast, and we're honored to share the legacy of our great-grandfather Pappy Van Winkle with all of you. So visit pappyco.com for 15% off your purchase with code BourbonLife15.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the 3rd and sadly final round of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here tonight live in the Bourbon Life Studios, it is my good friend, my bourbon drinking buddy, my co-host, Matt. Matt, how you doing down there, man?
Mark, good to be around the table.
Yes, sir.
After a week off, nice to have a good good live show for us. Bringing our guest into the studio, so always great for that. But I'm good, man. Mission control, everything all right down there, Houston?
Man, I've got all the equipment. Everything is here. Got the spy glasses on. Got 14 different cameras.
No kidding.
Like running,
Got
so
gizmo on top of gizmo.
Everything.
You've got more tripods in front of you than I don't know what you do.
Hey, Matt, happy birthday, man.
Hey, it was not today, so anyway.
It wasn't, but you just recently had a birthday, so happy birthday. I need to
happy birthday.
I need, there you go.
you.
Need to bring
Thank
that
you.
up. Need to say happy birthday to Matt, and hope you had a wonderful birthday, man. And
I'm going to try to say it in Chinese, and I'm pretty sure it's wrong. Xinnian Kuaila, but that could be Happy New Year's.
Either way,
It's
take it, right?
a new
It's a
year for
synonym.
me
Everybody
anyway.
that was Chinese, it didn't necessarily mean happy birthday.
We're gonna get hate mail. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'll take it. It sounded beautiful.
It sounded,
We're going to get
It's the sentiment that counts, right, man? That's what matters.
lots of new distilleries are popping up in China.
Very
They're
cool.
they're in their infant stage. It's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not coming. It's already happening. I don't think you're seeing a lot of news about it, but there are proper whiskey distilleries up and running in China, and there will be more of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. That's good to know. Well, we are the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by Liquor Barn. We appreciate their support and the support of all of our sponsors. Couldn't bring you this show every week without their support. Matt, our guest kind of jumped in already, man. But,
Yeah, I forgot I was supposed to.
That's okay.
No,
That's all right,
it's
man.
your show.
It is your
Just-
show. You do what you want to do. But Matt, just tell everybody who we have, just in case somebody randomly tunes in
And
at the beginning of the
forward
third
to
round.
wherever we are right now. That's right.
Who our guest is.
We are turning the wheels over to Dave Bob, National Brand Manager with Lexington Brewery and Distilling Company. We've got him back here morning, noon, or night, whenever it is you get your Bourbon Life Podcast. Dave Bob, welcome on.
Yeah, actually, my title did change in between those rounds.
Oh.
It's officially National Brand Manager. Pretty much, I think it's okay to announce I'm our R&D blender.
Hey, all
Congratulations,
right.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hope Marty, our GM, is okay with that.
Oh, man.
No,
nice.
but this has been in the process for a long time.
Well,
Awesome.
congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, congratulations.
I got to
man.
add it to the business card.
Yeah.
R&D blender.
For sure.
Yeah, but no, thank you for our team for helping this happen.
Yeah, man. No.
They couldn't do it without someone in charge of the R&D blending, right? And
Heck yeah.
you're the guy bringing the ship about.
Yeah.
You got the crew behind you.
Yep.
You're driving the boat. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So, Dave, tell us what we got poured up. You got something special. Well, the last one we just had was extra special. And this one's also a special. Man, you just like knocked it out tonight.
I know.
bringing us all
This is good
stuff.
timing.
The truckload of goodness.
Well,
here,
there's-
man.
We had to wait.
This is a big year to celebrate, right?
It is. Yeah. And tell us why.
yeah.
What
So
we got?
it's our October. We've been celebrating our 25th anniversary
Awesome.
as a brewery and distillery. And we're drinking that anniversary beer, that 5-year-old aged beer. We had to do something just as epic for the distillery, Town Branch. So I was able to take one of our oldest aged single barrels ever. I think it's our second oldest. But this came in at 9 years and 3 months.
Wow.
Resting in the barrel. 129 on the dot, 0.0.
That's big proof. That's big proof.
Yeah,
So
it is.
129.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
do you barrel at? 125?
No, with the bourbon, we're like in the high teens.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So for it to jump up, I mean,
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of, when you're looking at our single barrels, we're 50%, 103 to 108. Then we're getting a decent chunk, 25% or so in the teens, 113 to 117 or so. In our 20s, probably less than 10% are 120s. So hit 129 was awesome.
Yeah. I know I've seen some true casts out there that are like 104 or 106.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this one's doing a little work in the barrel.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Matt, what do you pick up on the nose on this one?
I've not been to it yet. I'm sitting here, John. So why
pulled
don't
up
you
the
go?
bottle for
yeah.
that
Beautiful
25th.
color on
Great
it, by the
color.
way.
So
Like, that's
rich.
Yeah.
Like
and
just
dark. And this is with a ton of lighting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like kind of comparing the two.
Yeah.
two colors that we've been drinking through this evening. So, Mark, go ahead. I haven't had a chance yet.
What stands out to me is like, I still get that maltiness, and it throws me when I pick that up, right? Because I'm like, is that really something I'm nosing? But this to me has more of like a traditional older bourbon aroma to it.
Yep.
You get a lot of those notes that you get like that. To me, it's like that brown sugar rich sweetness to it, almost like a brulee sugar, maybe something like that.
Yep, exactly.
You get that stone fruit, the cherry, just that beautiful type of an aroma. To me, it just has that
super rich and
luscious,
very
richness.
luscious and sweet.
Yep.
I get a lot of good wood flavors on it too. There's something about like a good older pot still whiskey brings out like not just the great oak in those like toasted or roasted charred oak flavors, but kind of some of those like funkier wood and oak flavors too, almost like that beautiful, almost like mossy or like barn wood flavor that like just adds to like that, like Mark, you were saying, like has kind of an older like antique-ish style nose to it.
Yeah.
I think this really does.
Absolutely.
It brings out really great flavors of that.
Dave, anything else on there that stands out to you?
No, I think we hit it, especially on that wood right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
that
excellent.
Very deep, the most mature wood you could smell.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, very nice.
Let's see what Town Branch tastes like at 129.
Yeah, we'll jump to the palate and the finish here in just a few minutes. So, all right, so you're in Taipei, and you're ready to get back here to the state. How'd they bring you back stateside?
So, leave China, did a ton of stuff there. I was a tour guide for sidecar motorcycles.
Really?
Award-winning bartender mixologist. I was in film and TV and travel shows and stuff like that. Now I'm off to the island of beautiful Taiwan, based in Taipei, living right downtown. My window view was Taipei 101. It was absolutely gorgeous. You're living in paradise. The culture of Taipei as a metro city is so different because it's an island and they're super chill, but they're very much more exposed to European and American travelers and culture, and a lot more of them study abroad, and it's, more of a per capita condensed, kind of thing because you're in an island. So it was just a lot quicker and easier to become friends with local people, and just amazing blended culture, especially with the bartenders there. There's a lot of Japanese influence. There's a ton of creativity. It was the Asia Mecca of craft beer. Every craft brewery wanted to be in Taiwan. No. It was like a hub, and it was super chill. And a lot of it was Taiwanese distributors and importers really being active and wanting beer from California, because there's so many, it feels like half the people you meet are from the Bay Area anyways.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. And so a ton of California beer, a ton of craft beer, whiskey. I mean, the amount of whiskey culture is up there with Japan as far as consumption. I mean, they are drinking whiskey like it's Gatorade. There's a ton of whiskey consumption. It's everywhere. It's awesome. And with that, it's a lot of bartenders who are more engaged and interested in bourbon because of cocktail making rather than scotch and Johnny Walker. So amazing culture for F&B there. It's incredible. Yeah. I wish Taiwan was closer. I'd go there every year. Yep. What else?
Very nice. So you're there. How did you transition back stateside?
So we kind of hit all of our goals for Taiwan with our distributors and building a small sales team over there. And it felt sustainable to let it grow without me. Then I moved to Shanghai, went back to China, based in Shanghai, did like a 7-month campaign where I was constantly up and down the east coast of China from north to south, hitting the road, doing master classes.
Wow.
Expanding our current distribution, opening up a ton of new distribution. I built a great team over there, had a great new GM, and did a ton of work and learned a ton within 6 months of doing that. Hit all my goals I needed for 6 months. And then Mark messaged me and he's like, it's time to come. It's time to come home.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And I'm like, yes, it is. So it worked out perfect with my daughter kind of getting to the age where we wanted her to have the lifestyle upbringing that I had in America. And Mark sent me a golden ticket and he said, pick out 5 cities. Write down 5 cities and send them to me and I'll send you to one. And Pierce is still, Pierce just passed away. When Pierce passed away, I was in Ireland working.
Oh, okay.
The day that he passed away. And you learn a lot from Pierce. He was incredible. And you have a lot of that in Mark, with Mark having its own completely different personality from his father. But what I thought was, this is a test. It's all a test.
Yeah.
Pick 5 cities.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It's like I could pick like San Diego, Miami, like those would be awesome. And I didn't want to do any of those things. I wanted to be at the brewery distillery. I wanted to be in Lexington. I wanted to be in Kentucky where everything's happening. I was already disconnected for years being in Asia.
Sure, mm-hmm. Sure.
And I, wrote him back, appreciate the offer. I want to be somewhere where my skills and personality are going to be at the most useful. And I think that's Lexington. And he's like, that's what I thought. I knew it was a test.
Yeah.
But really, me going back, this was 2019. I knew I wanted to be close to where I am today.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how to distill. I wanted to know how to blend. I wanted to be where the beer and bourbon is being made with the whole team. I want to be where it's happening, in the heart of it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be off at another beautiful location, but feeling separated from where it's being made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. You wanted to be here, you wanted to be. So the brewery itself, it goes back 25 years, right? So, you guys are celebrating the 25th anniversary. So quite a history there with everything.
Yeah. So, us, being the only brewery and distillery on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, this goes back to Dr. Pierce Lyons, our founder. So born and raised in Ireland, master's in brewing, master's in distilling, PhD in yeast fermentation.
Yep.
Mark, who runs the company now, followed his father's footsteps. Mm-hmm. Same, master brewer, master distiller, PhD in yeast fermentation, biochemistry. Literally, Pierce was a genius of, yeast and ethanol. The only person in the world to be in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame and the Irish Whiskey Council.
Wow.
Which is their Hall of Fame of whiskey makers. We're talking about a guy who, when he worked for Jameson, he was the lead creative engineer and distiller to open up Middleton.
Oh, wow.
That's how far back we're going.
Wow. Okay.
Like an absolute legend this guy is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how it all got started with Pierce. And Pierce was the 6th generation. The 5 generations that the family knows of were all master coopers. And he was that 6th generation that broke off from being the one to build the barrels by hand to being the one that would make the beer and whiskey to rest in those barrels. Even his aunt was the first woman master cooper in Ireland.
No kidding.
So incredible history with his family.
Yeah, super deep ties.
Yep.
To everything about it.
Yeah, and when we're looking at Pierce and our history, we're also looking at the life of our barrel. So the life of our barrel, Town Branch Bourbon is number 1. Brand new charred for American White Oak Bourbon barrel. aging the bourbon anywhere from 6 to 8 years. Bourbon's out. Now we're going to fill it with our beer. We're going to age that beer for months.
Yeah.
Beer comes out. Now we're going to fill our single malt whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Third use, same barrel.
Nice.
Town Branch Kentucky single malt whiskey. The oldest Kentucky single malt whiskey in America. Last year, World Whiskey Awards named it Best American Single Malt 12 years and under.
Wow.
Yep. So we're aging that anywhere from 7 to 10 plus years. Single malt whiskey comes out. Fourth use, we're either going to recast it in Kentucky. We were just talking about weeded barrels.
Yeah.
Now we're emptying weeded barrels.
Oh, yeah.
We just got the okay to start putting mature single malt into our weeded bourbon barrels, or we send them to our distillery in Dublin, where they're going to reuse them to blend our Irish whiskey. Mm-hmm. And before my voice runs out,
yeah, sorry, man.
In Ireland, at our Pierce Lines distillery at St. James Church, across the street from Guinness, our pot stills are handmade in Louisville by Vendome.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's us being able to create iconic whiskey in 2 iconic regions of the world, upcycling those barrels for decades.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're able to get that much use out of them. So, Matt, let's jump to the whiskey because we're gonna lose his voice here.
I know.
Let's talk about the whiskey palate and finish. What do you get on this 25th anniversary?
Big and spicy.
Yeah.
Right on the front. A lot of heat, a lot of peppercorn, cinnamon. Get just like big and bold flavor right up front. The oak really shines in the front of it. Then that peachy malt comes through again. There's that really like juicy, peachy, fruit forward malt comes through. A little bit of the like a roasted flavor, almost like a Heath bar type flavor, like a little bit of like chocolate.
I see that.
Or
chocolate.
Toffee kind of aroma as well. For like nice, long, oily, thick finish on it as well. It brings the heat back again on the finish. That malt really shines through. A little bit of like cocoa or milk chocolate on the finish as well. Yeah. Along with those like mature wood oak or like mature wood flavors we were talking about earlier. Just absolutely lovely.
Yeah, that maturity comes through, from the bourbon standpoint of it. But that malt, it's just, it's so different. I'm just not used to that. But yeah, that peachy that you talked about, that maltiness, even to a chocolate aroma or taste on the palate as well. But that spiciness comes through as well, man. There's just a lot of spice here. Again, just a lot of unique flavors that blended together and finish really, really nicely, man.
Yeah, no, we're thrilled to have it. It was funny. And again, I'm trying to find a really special barrel. And this is back really last year. And we had a barrel that Kaufman did with Kentucky Affairs. Did you ever go to that event in Louisville? It was called Kentucky Affairs or something. And it was like a bourbon festival event. And Kaufman filled a single barrel with them, and then COVID and everything happens, and that event stops.
Right.
And now we have this barrel and a special plaque, and I spent twice within a year reaching out to a ton of people, KDA, another organization, trying to track down anybody who used to work for this Kentucky Affairs event, and then finally ran into some people that were a part of it and gave me the confirmation, look, it's over, we don't, we can't, it's your barrel, you can do whatever you want with it. And I'm like, perfect. Because it's almost 10 years old, and I want it for our anniversary.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so it worked out amazing. I think we released this 2 weeks ago, and I think we're 70% sold out.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
Just like a gift shop distillery only.
Only available at Lexington Brewery Distilling Co at 401 Cross Street, downtown Lexington, at our visitor center. It's an incredible pick and taste. Whether you're a fan of Town Branch and you've had a ton of our stuff, or it's your first one, this is a $80 over 9-year single barrel at $129.
Yeah, you're not going to beat that price.
$80
anywhere. Yeah, no doubt. So we're almost at the end already, man. It's kind of crazy how fast this is going by. But let's talk about the future a little bit. Things coming up. Obviously, 25th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
Anything else coming up?
Gosh, there's so much.
Right.
How much stuff can I pull out of this rabbit hat?
Do a whole other episode on just that, huh?
Beerside, our newest seasonal, just that will start to hit the shelves for the second year in a row, is our Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Cocoa Porter.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So imagine like a Hershey chocolate, cocoa pebble, milky bourbon barrel aged beer for the winter.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So the Cocoa Porter is starting to come out. What else? Town Branch, batch number 10, will be starting to blend pretty soon, before the end of the year. So we'll have one more batch of True Cask coming out. Who knows what it's going to taste like?
Right.
Maybe it's going to be like a cherry bomb.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out. We haven't made it yet.
Research
Batch number 10.
We know the researth and development guy.
right.
Maybe it's going to be 149 proof. I have no idea. It's not going to be.
Man.
So True Cast, Overproof is pretty much almost sold out. So we have to start picking barrels and blending that in like next week. I'm probably already weeks behind.
Yeah,
which is good.
And you've got to be on a plane in the morning.
Yeah, I gotta be on a plane in New York in the morning for a bunch of fun stuff over there. Wood, water, and what lies ahead.
Yeah.
So this is an amazing nonprofit program that we work with. Every case of our barrel-aged beer and every case of all of our Town Branch bourbon and whiskey, we donate to a NGO, and their focus is revitalizing water and planting trees in rural to urban areas. So us trying to give back to our resources, whether it's an area like Lexington, Kentucky, or somewhere more rural or somewhere more urban. So we're very proud of our Water and What Lies Ahead program. Gosh, I don't know.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always like to ask our guests before we close it out, man. Always ask this question, but what has been your favorite part of this journey for you so far? You've had an incredible journey, everything you've done, the places you've been, countries you've been to, jobs you've had, people you met, I'm sure. But what's been the best part of this whole journey for you?
Yeah. So I know exactly what moment it was. It was last year, and I did intensive distilling training with Steve Hughes, our head distiller and head blender. I'm only R&D blending, guys. Okay. And Steve put me through the ringer for months, and I'd be down there at 4:45 in the morning, and I'd be with him for half the day, and then do my other job right after.
Wow.
Very much supported by our whole team, and wanted to push myself to do that and get that training and learn how to distill. This takes years. Steve Hughes whispers to these machines. These are column pot stills with, steam that he's cranking by hand. He can hear it rattle, he can touch one of the pipes, and he knows what is going to happen minutes later. It's like your grandmother cooking an apple pie and she smells it from the backyard. I mean, this is what he does on a daily basis. I know how to turn it on and follow the recipe. I don't know how to troubleshoot it.
Right.
I don't know how to whisper to it. That would take years. But I know how to do it. In the basic sense. But it was my first batch I did solo without his help, start to finish. And it was so full circle. The sun's rising. I got hearts flowing. I'm all by myself. And just, I was like, wow. I mean, I was thinking about, you know, my first bottle of bourbon when I was 18. I was thinking about, you know, living in Asia and how crazy it is that I was at this point, you know, watching the sunrise in Kentucky, distilling on my own. You know, my voice is fading, but I am choking up now.
Yeah, no, but that's great, man. I mean,
so hands down, that was such an incredible moment.
Yeah.
And what you think you know about the industry, wherever part you are in the industry, you know, a journalist, a blender, a distiller, a sales rep, you never know enough. My palate and my knowledge back then compared to now is way more. What I think I'm good at now, I'll look back in 5 years and I was like, what a kid.
Right.
So it never stops.
Sure.
You know, and you need to be surrounded by people of your peers, like you guys, to be better and to be enthusiastic and passionate about it. So thank you.
Well,
thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us, man, especially when you're getting ready to fly out in the morning. You got your busy schedule, man.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you taking the time to to join us. So where can our listeners get more information about Lexington Brewery and Distilling, and also where can they get your products?
Fun stuff, social media.
Yeah.
So Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, Town Branch Bourbon, or Lexington Brewing Co. That's going to be all the fun stuff and videos and photography and everything that our team does. Go to our website, lexingtonbrewingco.com. Click on our product finder.
Okay.
It will automatically find our beer and bourbon within miles to where you are.
Nice.
Just by catching your zip code.
Yep.
When you click on it. I mean, we're everywhere from mom and pop to national chain. We're 41 states beer and just shy of that for bourbon.
That's great.
So basically, you know, if you're drinking bourbon barrel ale, go find Town Branch Bourbon. That's where the barrels are coming from.
Right.
If you're drinking Town Branch Bourbon, go grab yourself Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. That's where those barrels are coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So any final thoughts, Bob, before we wrap it up tonight? Other than losing your voice, man. Sorry about that.
No, that's my own fault. Yeah, I mean, keep on supporting distilleries, small and large. Keep on searching for new things to taste and experience, whether they're from Kentucky or your local state. Hopefully there's more people making bourbon and whiskey out there. Drink more American single malt whiskey.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's experiment with that more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Wise words to live by.
No doubt.
All of our bartenders out there, let's make at least one American single malt cocktail on the menu. That's my challenge for every bartender in America for next year. One American single malt whiskey cocktail.
I think it's doable. You heard it right here, folks, bartenders listening, watching. Make it happen. We can do that. Matt, what about you? Final thoughts before we wrap it up, man?
Dave, Bob, thanks a ton for being here with us. It really has been a pleasure. I'm sorry it took so long to get you on, but
it was the perfect time for it.
You had me at like the edge of my seat going through your, just like traveling along with you on your journey. So thanks. You're a great storyteller, even better person, and you've been a great guest to us, to all of our listeners out here.
I love tasting with you guys. I love hearing your notes. and how you, the tasting notes and the palate that you get from it. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, research and development blender. We've got him here.
I know.
We love to have it, man.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work.
Yeah,
for sure.
thank you.
Yeah, man, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Like I said, I love running into you. I love seeing you at these events. Always have a great time getting to chat with you, man. So appreciate it. Glad we were finally able to make this happen, and love what you guys are doing, man. Congratulations on everything going on. Congratulations on 25 years. That's huge. We're excited to be here. We're excited just about Lexington. This whole month is about Lexington distilleries, of course, brewery and distillery. But that's what we want to do. We're in Lexington, and we want people to know that you come to Kentucky, it's a bourbon trail, and Lexington has a lot to offer. And unfortunately, I don't think people think about it or just don't pay that visit like they should. But there's a lot to visit and do here, and you guys are a prime example of that. So thank you guys for all you've done for the industry over the last 25 years. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, and with that, when we do this again, we're bringing Mark Lyons here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
He'll have the most insane stories you've ever heard.
No, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
all for it.
I mean, he's got a ton of history.
Yeah,
that he would love to share and sip on some stuff. So the next time we do this, we're bringing Mark.
I think that sounds like a great plan for sure. So, but yeah, thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate it. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah.
Great show. Had a great time. So we are the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by Liquor Barn. We appreciate their support and the support of all of our sponsors. We couldn't bring you great guests like Dave Bob every week without the support of our sponsors. So please check all of our sponsors out. Give them a like, follow on social media, whatever. We really appreciate that. And we appreciate you guys listening to us, like Matt always says, whatever time of day it is, morning, noon, or night, whenever it is you get your Bourbon Life fix. We appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and listen. If you have any questions or suggestions for us, something you'd like to hear, a guest you'd like to see on the podcast, please let us know. You can email us at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. You can also find us, of course, on social media, The Bourbon Life at Facebook and also on Instagram. We do have the private Facebook group, The Bourbon Lifers, so feel free to join that as well. We have some fun conversations going on in there. We really appreciate that. Don't forget about our good buddy, as Matt likes to call him, Big Tex, or Big Chief, that does the Whiskey Trip podcast that comes out every Tuesday under our umbrella as well. So Mike's doing some great shows. He's traveling all around the country, man. He's getting some great guests on. So be sure to check him out. He's on Instagram and Facebook as well as the Whiskey Trip. So check him out. But with that said, I'm going to wrap it up. Send us home with our tagline, which is, may your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the bourbon life.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple: to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the bourbon life.
Welcome to the kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company, where every visit is a celebration of tradition and flavor. Did you know that the kitchen table is nestled right within the heart of the distillery? That's right. You can experience the essence of James B. Beam's legacy while savoring their delectable dishes. Join them every Wednesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a culinary journey like no other. Planning a special event? Let the kitchen table be your host, creating unforgettable memories for you and your guests. And don't miss their exclusive Behind the Beam tour and monthly Claremont Supper Club events, which will feature the 2024 Distillers Share releases at the November event. For more information and reservations, visit beamdistilling.com. The kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company. Come as a friend, leave as family.